welcome to the deep dive. Today we've got really an astonishing story for you. It's all about power, betrayal, and, well, reclaiming something huge from the inside.
Yeah, it's a narrative we've pieced together from a detailed transcript. It follows one woman's incredible journey back to an institution that basically slammed the door on her.
Exactly. Think corporate drama, but it's real life, and the stakes are incredibly high.
Right. So our mission here is to really unpack the source material. We want to look at the tactics, the secrets that were buried, and how it all led to this massive transformation.
We'll get into how someone completely written off managed to regain control, what shocking truths emerged from behind boardroom doors, and, the lasting impact of her return. It's quite a story. Let's dive in.
Okay, so it all starts 5 years after Elena Navaro was last at the Rembrandt Institute of Technology. She shows up for a governing board summit.
But right off the bat, there's a problem. The receptionist, Greta, checks the list. Elena's not on it.
Nope. First hurdle, and it signals, she wasn't expected, or maybe wasn't wanted.
But Elena, apparently, is just completely calm about it. She tells Greta, yeah, I know I'm not listed, but I'm here to speak with the board. Seems like she anticipated this.
She definitely seems prepared. And just then, guess who walks in? Caleb Langley, the very person tied to her exit years ago.
The source describes him right.
Okay.
Same Navy suit, same smug smirk. Classic antagonist entrance.
Totally. And he immediately goes on the offensive, tries to make her feel small, unwelcome, reminding her about her funding being cut, basically being thrown out.
Calls her appearance cute, accuses her of trying to sneak in, just really laying it on thick. He clearly thinks he owns the place.
But Elena doesn't bite. The source says she just walks past him, scans her phone, says something like, I'm just here for what I'm owed, and heads to the elevator.
Leaving Caleb kind of sputtering, I imagine.
Pretty much. But then the elevator doesn't open for her. Caleb catches up, all agitated, telling Greta to call security because someone's trying to breach security.
And this is where it gets interesting. Right then, Greta's tablet pings. Updates. And suddenly,
Miss Navaro is listed. Executive access. The elevator doors slide open.
Caleb must have lost it.
Completely stunned, demands to see the tablet, questions the authorization, tries to physically block her again, yelling about crashing a closed shareholder event.
And this is the moment. Elena steps into the elevator, turns to him.
And delivers the line, I own a controlling stake.
Wow! Just like that.
The source says he actually laughed, just couldn't believe it.
I mean, can you blame him? From his perspective, this person he got rid of years ago suddenly claims ownership. It sounds like a bluff.
Exactly, but she follows it up, gives the exact figure, 76.4%.
Oh.
And explains how, not some overnight hostile takeover. Nope, acquired quietly. Over 18 months. Through a company called Navaro Holdings, LLC.
18 months. That's good.
Yeah.
That's incredible patience. What does that tell you about her strategy?
It shows meticulous planning, playing the long game, definitely. Using the system against itself, maybe finding investors who agreed the current leadership wasn't working out. She called it a dying legacy. Required serious capital, sure, but also, extreme discretion.
No kidding. And when Caleb calls her a liar, her response is perfect.
Just tells him, call your mother.
Which brings Mom onto the scene.
Yeah.
Marissa Langley, co-founder, chairwoman, the queen of the frozen smile, as the source puts it.
Right. Trying to keep up appearances. Caleb rushes over, frantic, telling her about Elena's claim.
But Marissa checks her own phone, and there it is. Elena Navaro, executive access.
Yep. So despite Caleb freaking out, Marissa makes the call, overrules him, tells security to let Elena go up to the board meeting.
That dynamic right there. Fascinating. Marissa recognized something shifted, even if Caleb didn't.
A sign that maybe Marissa understood power dynamics a bit better. Or maybe just saw the inevitable. So Elena heads up alone.
Okay, so she reaches the top floor, enters the West boardroom. Big glass panels, steel fixtures, the whole power aesthetic.
And the board members are all there, mid-conversation. Everything stops when she walks in.
People recognize her, right? There are murmurs. Elena Navaro.
Yeah. Richard Moreno, the strategic director, seems confused. But Elena just walks right past everyone, takes the empty seat directly across from Marissa Langley.
And Caleb, panicked, follows her in. Tries one last time.
Immediately says she's not a recognized board member, trying to regain control.
But Elena was ready for this.
Totally ready. She looks around the room and says it again, clear as day. I'm not here as a guest. I'm here as a majority shareholder.
Cue the gasps. Caleb yelling, impossible!
And she just turns her tablet around, shows him the proof. Navaro Holdings, LLC, Delaware registration, 76.4% of outstanding shares, acquired over 18 months, investment funds, private equities, the works.
And she explained how that perception of a dying legacy under the Langleys actually made shares available. And the money came from holding companies 3 layers deep, masking the source.
It wasn't luck, it was strategy, pure calculation. And just as the shock is settling in,
The cavalry arrives.
sort of, Mr. Chen, the Institute's longtime general counsel, a respected figure, he walks in.
And he backs her up.
Completely. States it plainly. She's telling the truth. He'd reviewed the filings himself. Navaro Holdings has the majority. Her legal standing is solid. Boom.
Silence in the room, I bet.
Total silence. You can picture it.
Yeah.
Richard Moreno leaning back. Priya Jain, head of biotech compliance, taking off her glasses. Caleb, just speechless.
And Elena looks right at Marissa, the co-founder, the chairwoman.
And says, I didn't come back for revenge. I came to reclaim what was stolen.
Chills. So gaining control was step 1. Now she needs to show them why.
Exactly. Step 2 is laying bare the misconduct. She starts presenting documents, focusing on the last 7 years under Langley leadership.
First up, Exhibit 1, unauthorized stock sales.
And not just any sales. These were done using shell names tied to entities in the Cayman Islands. Classic move to hide who's really benefiting. And the trail leads straight back to Caleb's family trust.
So using Institute assets for personal gain, basically, and hiding it. What's Exhibit 2?
Misused grant funds. This one's bad. Money specifically granted for cancer gene therapy research.
Idle work.
Crucial work. Diverted to renovate the South Wing, like building upgrades. Priya Jain, whose division got that grant from the NIH, that's the National Institutes of Health, serious federal funding, she recognizes it.
And the timing.
Yeah.
This is key, right?
Okay.
The money wasn't put in escrow, which is standard practice for grants like these.
No escrow. Instead, Marissa Langley used her discretionary override, basically, her personal authority to move the funds, the day after the founder, Victor Navaro, Elena's uncle, died.
Wow. The day after, that looks really bad.
Deeply suspicious. And it gets worse. Exhibit 3. Manipulation of Victor's founder shares after his death.
What happened there?
Elena shows emails. Internal stuff. Between estate lawyers and their accountant, Barrett Dean, pressure was applied just 2 weeks after Victor's funeral to reclassify his shares, not as transitional, which they should have been, but as inactive.
What does that achieve? Making them inactive.
It likely consolidates power, prevents those shares from being potentially controlled by someone outside the Langley circle, like Elena. It sidelines his legacy's voting power. And Mr. Chen confirms again. The full board never approved this. He only found out recently.
So a pattern emerges. Backroom deals, misuse of funds, overriding protocols, all happening outside proper oversight.
Definitely. And the source mentions you could feel the shift in the room, people physically distancing themselves from Marissa and Caleb. The herd was moving, as it says. They see the writing on the wall.
Elena calls the Institute under them a vanity project, a personal piggy bank. The financial stuff alone is enough to sink them.
But she's not done. She says, there's one more thing, something I've spent years trying to confirm. And this part, it's not about money.
This is about her uncle, Victor Navaro.
Right. She turns everyone's attention to a screen. Plays security footage, March 19th, 2018, late at night, Corridor 7B, a restricted area.
What does it show?
It's grainy, but clear enough. Victor Navaro arguing with Caleb Langley. Victor points to a file. Caleb grabs it, yells, slams it against the wall, and then Victor stumbles back. He clutches his chest.
Oh, no. And Victor died just hours later, right?
Yeah.
From a stroke.
3 hours later, Caleb immediately gets defensive, says, oh, Victor had health problems. Everyone knew that, tries to brush it off.
But Elena came prepared for that, too.
She did. She presents a toxicology report. From a private lab, they used a preserved sample from Victor's original autopsy.
And the findings.
Traces of digtoxin in amounts consistent with slow, long-term poisoning.
Digtoxin. What's the significance of that specific substance?
Well, the key thing is digtoxin, it's potent, used sometimes in heart meds, but dangerous. It was only available at the Institute in one place at that time, Lab 4C, where they were running tightly regulated pharmaceutical trials.
So the poison likely came from inside the Institute.
That's the clear implication. The mood shifts again, from shock about finances to horror.
Marissa speaks up.
Yes, asks Elena if she's actually accusing her own family of murder.
And Elena's response?
Calm. almost detached, says she's not accusing, just presenting findings, and reveals that based on this, the official investigation into Victor's death was reopened last month.
So the authorities are already involved again. Caleb must be losing it.
Totally agitated, but Elena just tells him he lost control, and right on cue,
Oh, tell me.
a representative from the district attorney's office arrives. Mr. Chen confirms they're there to take statements. It's all happening right there in the boardroom.
The consequences are literally walking through the door.
Exactly. Elena sums it all up. This wasn't just about business gone wrong. It was a betrayal of science, of trust, of Victor Navaro. She puts an envelope with his signature on the table, symbolizing, the shift in power.
What an absolutely devastating conclusion to that meeting. What happens immediately after?
Chaos, basically. As Elena leaves, federal agents arrive. Not the DA's office this time, a federal office, asking specifically for Caleb and Marissa Langley regarding fraud charges.
Filed by whom?
Filed by the feds, but the primary complainant listed, Elena Navaro.
So she initiated the fraud investigation too. Caleb's reaction?
Disbelief, blaming Elena, naturally. He's escorted out. Marissa is just silent.
Does Marissa say anything to Elena as she leaves?
Yes, a quiet question, according to the source. Did you ever stop to think about what this would cost?
Heavy. And Elena's answer?
I thought about it every day. Then Marissa concedes, says Elena won, but Elena corrects her.
What does she say?
This isn't about winning. I came for justice and maybe a little peace. It frames her whole motivation. It wasn't just revenge or power.
So with the Langleys effectively removed, what happens with the board?
They formally recognize Elena's authority. Near unanimous vote, Caleb and Marissa are put on immediate suspension. The shift is official.
And the changes start quickly, right? The Institute gets a new name.
Very quickly. Within 3 weeks, it's renamed the Institute of Applied Futures, signals a clean break, a new direction, away from the tarnished legacy.
And they hold a relaunch ceremony.
A simple one, intentional, not flashy. Elena speaks, talks about correcting the course, how the place had lost its soul, and how things change starting now.
And actual changes follow, not just cosmetic.
Oh yeah, real structural and ethical reforms. A new ethical charter gets put in place. No more anonymous chains of command that hide responsibility. No unaccounted spending like before. No shady backroom deals. Transparency is the new rule.
That directly addresses the ways the Langleys operated. What about the people working there?
Big improvements for staff, too. Expanded parental leave, help with student loans, better mental health coverage. And get this, executive bonuses slashed in half.
Where does that money go?
It doubles the student innovation grant pool, shifting resources from the top brass to the actual science and future researchers.
That sends a powerful message. What about the old board members?
5 of them, the ones who'd okayed those shady fund allocations, are dismissed. They're actually under federal investigation now, too.
And who replaces them?
Younger professionals. Active scientists, ethicists, so people from startups. New blood, new perspectives.
There's always the risk of new people falling into old habits, though. How does Elena address that?
Her response is telling. She says something like, it's not just about individuals anymore, because now the entire system holds them accountable, including me. Building accountability into the structure.
A symbolic change happens too, right? A memorial?
Yes, in the courtyard. A memorial to Victor Navaro. A simple stone prism, hollow center, symbolizing transparency. And the inscription is perfect. Science serves no master but the truth.
And the misused funds. What happens with that recovered money?
It funds the new Victor Navaro Foundation for Scientific Ethics, literally taking the money stolen through corruption and using it to promote integrity in science. Poetic justice, really.
Does the story end there? Or are there lingering threads?
There's a pretty major follow-up. Sometime later, Elena gets a confidential letter from Marissa Langley's attorney, sent from prison.
From prison? What's in it?
A sworn statement. Marissa confessing her role in manipulating Victor's medication, signing off on dosage protocols, batch distribution schedules, basically admitting she was directly involved in the circumstances leading to his death.
Wow. Confirmation. Why would she confess that?
She was looking for a deal, offering cooperation on the poisoning aspect in exchange for conditional immunity on the financial crimes.
The final piece of the puzzle Elena needed. What was Elena's response to the deal?
Unequivocal. No deal. She gets what she earned. Justice, plain and simple, no compromises.
So Elena takes the helm officially. Any other significant moments as she rebuilds?
She holds her first all-staff meeting as director, sets the tone. Ethical leadership is non-negotiable. Makes it the bedrock principle.
And there's a personal discovery, too.
A very poignant one. In her Uncle Victor's old office, she finds a hidden note he left her. dated just weeks before he died.
What did it say?
Something like, "Be the future, not their version of it. Yours, you already know it needs to be done, and I already know you can do it, love, Victor."
Oh, wow. Like a final message of encouragement from the past.
Exactly, like validation for everything she went through. And then she signs the papers for this global fellowship for ethical innovation, funding research done the right way, fulfilling that vision.
The source ends with her reflecting, right, in the old lab.
Yeah, the old genetics lab, now renamed the Navaro lab. She feels rooted there, not just as an heir, but as the person who tore down the corrupt version and rebuilt something based on integrity, the Institute's soul restored.
What an absolutely incredible journey, from being locked out, literally, to holding the keys, exposing everything, and rebuilding it all.
It really is a testament to, well, strategic patience, isn't it? And the power of information used carefully. That 18-month quiet acquisition is just masterful.
And the sheer personal strength it must have taken to carry that knowledge about her uncle, about the betrayal, and channel it into such a monumental task.
Absolutely. It really makes you think about how easily institutions, even respected ones, can lose their way without constant vigilance, how crucial transparency and real accountability are baked into the system.
And it shows what one person can do, right? Even against entrenched power, even years later, if they have the evidence, the strategy, and the sheer will.
Definitely. It wasn't just about winning a corporate battle. For Elena, it was deeply personal, about justice for her uncle, about the integrity of science itself.
Which brings us to a thought for you, the listener. Elena fought for years, meticulously, patiently, for the truth about her uncle and the soul of the Institute. What personal truth or what core value do you see maybe in your own life or in the world that feels worth that kind of dedicated long-term fight, no matter the odds?